My ex demanded me for child support for a kid that is not mine. My mother and sister are on their side. A few years ago, I was in a relationship with a girl that turned out to be very controlling and abusive. We eventually broke up due to the toxicity of the relationship. After some time, I managed to secure a decent job that allowed me to live comfortably and save some money. A couple of months into my new job, my ex reached out to me. Initially, I thought she might want to reconnect, but to my surprise, she showed up with a 5-year-old child, claiming that he was my son and demanding child support. I was skeptical at first, but the child's age aligned with the time since we last had contact. I sought legal advice from a friend who is a lawyer and decided to handle the situation out of court. I offered to take responsibility, cover all costs, and be actively involved in the child's life, but only after a DNA test was conducted. Everyone agreed except for my ex. She was offended and insisted on receiving the money she believed she deserved. She resorted to using various excuses and even contacted my family to portray me as avoiding responsibility for her child. After exhausting all her excuses, the DNA test was finally conducted, and the results were surprising. I was not the father. She reacted furiously to the outcome, claiming it was unfair and that she deserved the money. However, her efforts were in vain. Fast forward to last week, there was a small gathering at my parents' house. While chatting with my brother and a friend, we started joking about the situation with my ex. Our conversation took a dark turn, and some of our comments were not appropriate. We thought we were far enough from everyone else and that no one could hear us, but to our surprise, my sister overheard us and confronted me angrily, pushing me against the wall. My sister overheard our conversation and was extremely upset. She began to berate us for mocking a vulnerable woman. Later, after the party ended, she asked me to join our parents in the kitchen and proceeded to express her disapproval of my behavior. Apparently, my ex had been in contact with her, and she believed her version of events, which led to her staging what she called an intervention. My brother and I were taken aback when she started to assert that I had forced my ex into being a single mother, and that I have a moral obligation to help her. My dad acknowledged that we may have been too harsh in our jokes, but maintained that I was not responsible for the child. To our surprise, my mom then stated, "Even if the kid is not yours, you are making more than enough money to support that child. You should have helped her." Since then, I have been receiving texts from my dad and brother supporting me, asserting that I am not responsible for her. But my sister continues to tell me how terrible I am for ruining their lives. My mom simply said, "It's your decision and I respect it. I'm just very disappointed that you ended up being so selfish." While I am aware that she doesn't deserve my money and I have no intention of giving her any, the constant harassment from my sister trying to guilt me is just exhausting. First update. We had a discussion about the situation. Once again, my mother initially took my ex's side, but after reading the post and considering all the comments and opinions, she realized her error. We had a lengthy conversation during which she shared that she had believed my ex because she had always been so nice and kind to her, and that led her to disregard my accounts of mistreatment during the relationship because she couldn't believe that a good person like my ex could behave that way, assuming I must be lying. Following this, she apologized to me and we reconciled. On the other hand, my sister initially decided not to speak to me until I took responsibility, but after a few days, I reached out to her. However, she remains firmly on my ex's side despite being presented with evidence. She stated that none of it mattered because a woman's word takes precedence, and that's all the proof anyone needs. Furthermore, she insisted that even if you are not the biological father, you have an emotional responsibility towards her, so you should be man enough to take charge of them and act like a real man. It seemed like a lost cause. Regarding my ex, I conducted some research and discovered that shortly after our breakup, she started dating another guy, or perhaps she was seeing him while we were together. I'm not certain. Their relationship ended a few weeks later, and she went on multiple dates before discovering she was pregnant. Additionally, I learned that she had been attempting to find a father for her child for the past 2 years, and it appeared that I was the next candidate. However, it seems like she is desperate now, as she has never been this aggressive with anyone else before. Now, the reason for this post. A few days ago, my ex and my sister came to my workplace with a large sign featuring my face that read, "He abandoned his child, an irresponsible father," and they began causing a scene, spouting falsehoods. Their aim was to publicly shame me and use social pressure to coerce me into taking responsibility for them. They explicitly stated this. To keep the story brief, they were escorted out of the premises. I faced repercussions due to the scandal, even after presenting all the evidence and legal documents proving their deceit. I was warned that such incidents should never occur again or I would be dismissed from my job. Following this, I contacted my friend who is a lawyer, and we are currently preparing a comprehensive and detailed legal case against them, both my ex and my sister. They have gone too far, and I am taking action against them with full force. Perhaps this will be enough to deter them from further harassment. Second update. To begin with, I am unable to discuss the lawsuit in detail. However, I can tell you that my ex was deeply upset when she found out about it. She is now pleading with me to drop it, offering to retract everything she has said and to never contact me again. She has even tried to guilt me by claiming that I would be ruining her and her son's lives, but I am no longer concerned with being the good guy. I have grown tired of that role. She crossed a line with me, and now I am fighting back. As for my sister, the lawsuit initially made things worse for her. When her attempt to shame me at my job did not have the desired effect, she took to social media to spread false information about me, accusing me of abandoning my child and not taking responsibility and portraying my legal actions as acts of censorship and misogyny. In the end, this will backfire on her. Not only can I easily dismiss her defamation, but it also provides more evidence in our favor. Nonetheless, this will be a long and challenging process, and we are only just beginning. Recently, we had a gathering at my parents' home, an annual tradition before Christmas. I had reservations about attending because I did not want to be near my sister, but after some relatives assured me that she would not be there, I decided to go. It turned out to be a big mistake. She was there after all. After everything that transpired, my mother decided that I was taking things too far and insisted that we all meet to resolve this issue as a family. I tried to leave the moment I realized her intentions, but some relatives tried to stop me while my mother tearfully pleaded for me to cease, claiming that I was tearing the family apart and needed to learn to forgive and let go. It became clear that, despite everything, even though she knew I was telling the truth, she was still on my sister's side. I left, informing her that I would not attend any family gatherings if my sister was present and that she should never attempt such an intervention again. At this point, almost all of my family is aware of what she did. Some believe my sister is irrational, while others think she is irrational but that I am taking it too far. A few days ago, my mother invited me to spend Christmas with them. I was hesitant after what had occurred, but I decided to give her a chance after she promised it wouldn't happen again. However, not only had she planned to repeat the intervention, my brother warned me that this time she intended to confine me until I forgave my sister and stopped the nonsense. I called my mother and informed her that I was aware and that I was done with her and my sister. I told her not to speak to me until she realized she had supported the wrong person and apologized. I don't need to mention how many times she tried to call me in the following hours and all the drama she created when I didn't show up for Christmas, but once again, I'm tired of being the good guy. Third update. It's been over a year, and I believe it's time to provide an update on everything that has occurred in my life over the past year. A lot has happened, and there have been many changes. 1. The lawsuit. To put it briefly, I emerged victorious. We didn't go to trial as everything was resolved during conciliation meetings. My lawyer's strategy was to include every possible claim, from harassment and defamation to attempts to jeopardize my job and parental fraud. The goal was to intimidate the other party, and if that failed, there would be numerous charges against my ex and my sister. My sister dismissed it as a bluff and continued to post her falsehoods on social media, something she now regrets, as every word she posted against me came back to haunt her when it was used as evidence. My ex retracted all her statements, making it easier for me to forgive her after realizing the consequences she would face, so she agreed to compensate the damages out of court and left my sister to face the battle she had initiated. When my sister realized the gravity of the situation and that she was on her own and bound to lose, she panicked. She deleted all her posts and attempted to pretend she had never done what she did, but by that point, we had all the backups, screenshots, and recordings we needed. During the final conciliation meeting, she broke down in tears, begging me for forgiveness and not to do this to her. However, she brought this upon herself, She had multiple opportunities to stop but persisted and ultimately faced the consequences of her own actions. She had to pay a significant amount plus all legal costs. My mother assisted her with the payment, but now she has a substantial debt as my father demanded repayment over time. For a few months, she harbored resentment towards me for what I did, but we eventually talked and repaired our relationship. It is still strained but healing. She confessed that initially, she believed she was fighting for a just cause, defending a woman in need, and thought she was doing the right thing, fueled by her friend's support who encouraged her to fight and face me on behalf of other women. These ideas persisted until reality set in when she realized there was no way she could win. Then all those friends vanished, my ex abandoned her, and those who had supported her wished her luck and disappeared. She had no choice but to surrender. That's how things concluded with them. And for those who suspected otherwise, no, my sister and my ex were not in a relationship. I don't know where my ex is, and I don't care. She paid and vanished, and I hope never to see her again. Some people have accused me of going too far with her. Some have even labeled me a monster for ruining a single mother who was already in trouble, while others have claimed I'm disloyal to my family for escalating the issue rather than resolving it within the family. At this point, I am indifferent to their opinions. 2. My mother. Throughout the conciliation period, my mother sided with my sister. She repeatedly attempted to dissuade me from pursuing the legal action, resorting to emotional manipulation and even threatening to disown me. Her stance left me feeling resentful, and I struggled to comprehend her behavior during and after the ordeal. 3. The DNA test. After discussing the matter with my brother and father, we concluded that my mother's behavior was uncharacteristic. Consequently, my father harbored doubts about his wife's fidelity. Following an emotional conversation and a promise of unwavering support from my brother and me, we decided to undergo a DNA test to confirm our paternity. The results confirmed that both my brother and I are indeed my father's sons. Relieved but ashamed of his initial doubts, my father and I felt compelled to apologize to my mother for our suspicions. However, during the discussion about the DNA test, my mother erupted in anger, physically assaulting me and revealing her true feelings. This outburst led to her confession that she had had an affair long ago, casting doubt on my paternity. Her revelation shed light on her previous behavior and the reason for her mistreatment of me. 4. The aftermath. In the aftermath of these events, I emerged victorious in the lawsuit and received compensation. Despite the strain on our relationship, my brother remains my closest confidant. My sister has distanced herself from her toxic friends and is on a path to healing. My ex has exited from my life, which I hope is permanent this time. My father is hurt by my mother's infidelity, and though they remain married, their relationship is irreparably damaged. My mother openly resents me for exposing her infidelity and blames me for her troubles. Despite her animosity, I am at peace with the decisions I made. How do you like the story, my friend? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel together. Love you.